All right, welcome back, or welcome to, if you're a first-time listener, the Got Game or Game Tech and Cut Right podcast, Just the Tip Tuesday. I'm Mike Edgehouse with Ryan Smith. We're here to chew the proverbial fat and give you advice from our experience with probably combined over 50 years of hunting experience in short format. And
I think he's aging.
We got a good
there.
one for you today. If you like hunts, oh shoot, yeah. Well, you did just have a birthday, dude. So
yes, I
mean,
did.
it's time for your hair to start falling out. I like that little joke. But if you ever listen to, and I'll plug one of our friends' podcasts here, the Live Wild podcast with Remy. He hasn't been doing it recently, but he typically starts his podcasts, which are longer format, with a hunting story. So if you like hunting stories, this is the one to tune into today. We got a great one, a really awesome hunting story with a probably in my opinion, and I might be slightly biased, like the nicest 10-year-old in the entire world. Like the kid loves snuggles and everything else, and he's just such a nice kid. Like, and so and I'll tell you what, like, he's not in the room, so I can use my language a little freely. He's had a hell of a year, from killing a bear to catching a 5-pound smallmouth to catching a 4-pound largemouth and multiple pike to having a banger of a first elk hunt and first elk kill. Like, he's on fire this year. So and I also go ahead.
I said we all wish we had his year. I don't think any of us have put an animal down.
Nope. He's killed more than me this year, and he is not afraid to let me know that. I mean, he lets me know. But before we start, so, all right, like, you get the point. Griff killed a frickin' banger. You probably saw it on Instagram. I'm super stoked. Everyone has been loving that Instagram post with Griff and everything else. He killed a banger, but I'm going to give you an exclusive recipe right now. I'm going to give you the rub. Bookmark this episode because
get your notebooks out.
It is a killer rub. I've toyed with this idea before. I have messed up quite a few steaks with it. I did it with the tenderloins and a small piece of the backstrap. If you listen to this and have moo cow, it would work fine with moo cow. It would work great with top round anything. Mm-hmm. And so I took all of these recipes that I know that are out there that involve coffee, and I kind of formulated it into some ideas that I love. And I sent Ryan a picture just today. So I will.
It looked great.
Dude, it's so good. I will let the listener know with the first steak, even though I've set down my favorite, Pilsner beers and whiskey, but with our first elk meal of the year, I always open a bottle of wine and we talk and do it. And we're recording this after we ate the tenderloins from Griff's elk. So I'm going to give you the rub.
That's awesome.
So 2 tenderloins, backstrap, whatever, 1/4 cup of ground black coffee. I don't care what you use. It cannot be instant coffee. It cannot be like the little packets. Ground coffee. It could be coarse ground, fine ground, whatever. I buy the grind Pete's at the grocery store. So 1/4 cup of that. You're going to use 1 tablespoon of the following: garlic powder or granulated garlic, onion powder, chili powder, and smoked paprika. Those of you that followed me on Instagram know I think smoked paprika is a secret ingredient that should always be in your rubs on your steaks with wild game. It is freaking phenomenal. So a tablespoon of those. And then you're going to do 1 full teaspoon of salt, 1 full teaspoon of cumin, like it spells cumin, like cumin, whatever. You don't want to overdo that. Like, that gets a little surly. You want it, that's an aggressive spice, man. So yes, 1 teaspoon.
It could take over.
Oh, it really can. And I also use 1 teaspoon, maybe a little less, of black pepper. Now, if you want to add and make it a little hot on your taste buds, you can add a little bit of cayenne pepper if you want. If you like things a little saltier, you can up that 1 teaspoon of salt up to 2 teaspoons of salt. Oh, and I forgot to add the next ingredient, and the last that you're going to add to this It falls in that tablespoon category, a tablespoon of brown sugar. And you're going to put that in a little bowl, and you're going to mix it with a fork. Like it's going to take like a teeny little bowl. You're going to mix it up with a fork. So just to review, quarter cup of coffee, tablespoon of garlic, tablespoon of onion, tablespoon of smoked paprika, tablespoon of brown sugar, teaspoon of salt, teaspoon of cumin, teaspoon of black pepper. And you're going to mix all of that together. Now, one of the biggest mistakes people make when they're grilling wild game or moo cow or any steaks, and Ryan, I'm just looking at you, don't take offense to this, I bet you make this mistake too. Like, what do people do? They like get the grill hot, or they get the, we'll say grill.
Cast
you can grill
iron.
This. You get the grill hot, and then you like spray Pam or you rub oil or whatever on the grill grates, and you're like, oh, I'm going to oil the grill grate so the steak doesn't stick to the grill. You guys are wrong. You don't do that. Oil the steak. So with the tenderloins, now what you're going to do, you got your rub mixed up. You're going to give it a liberal dosing of olive oil on all sides. And you're going to sprinkle this rub on it pretty aggressively. Not like that rub will cover 4 tenderloins, not 1, right? If you use that on 1 tenderloin, you used way too much. Just sprinkle it all over. Wrap it now in saran wrap. If you're going to cook it in the evening, like 5 hours later, put it in the fridge. If you're going to cook it in an hour and a half, leave it sit on the counter wrapped in saran wrap. Because the other mistake a lot of people make is they cook cold meat. The ideal temperature to grill or sear a steak, cast iron or on your grill or whatnot, is a room temperature meat. You don't want the inside cold. You want it to be in uniformity room temperature.
Makes sense.
So let it sit there. I've been using stainless steel. I'm going to give a tutorial on that in the coming weeks on the Instagrams. Take it out, get your avocado, high smoke point on that, sear it 4 minutes per side. So you're going to sear it 4 minutes, and then you're going to flip it over. Now here, follow me here, guys. When you flip it over, put a big old dollop of butter in the pan in addition to what's already there, and add a sprig of rosemary and a couple sprigs of thyme. That butter's going to melt super fast, and while it's on that side that's down, your seared side is up, take your spoon, tilt your pan, and scoop that rosemary thyme butter on top of the steak that's there. 4 more minutes, take it off, let it rest for at least 1.5 the cooking time. So you cooked it for 8 minutes. You want it to rest at least 12 minutes. Let it sit there 20. I don't care. All that's going to do is let all that myoglobin and water spread back out through the steak. It is going to be juicy and perfect. And I will tell you what, you might be thinking like, dude, the bald guy's on one again. Like, he freaking know I'm not putting coffee. I don't drink coffee. Like, whatever. I promise you, it makes an unbelievable crust. The coffee doesn't actually have a flavor. It helps form this unbelievable crust, but coffee's acidic. Not that tenderloins need more tenderizing, but the longer you leave that rub on there, that acidity from the tenderloin or from the coffee helps tenderize the meat. So it'd be a great rub for your top rounds, and that's going to be my next experiment or something like that. Remember, 4 minutes aside. When you flip it, add those herbs, baste it with butter, pull it off no more than 4 minutes aside, and let it rest 1.5 times what you cooked it. And buddy, it will put wind over your bald head. It'll blow your hair back. It is so unbelievably freaking good. Like,
yeah.
That one, like, that's just me toying around. Like, I saw many recipes with coffee. I remember doing it on Heart one time, and I was like, man. And I put it together, and I took a little dab of it in my mouth because I always taste my seasonings, and I was like, it's missing something. And that's when I started slowly adding cumin. And the best is, I made it and I put it on a moo cow steak that my wife brought home or a buddy gave us or whatever. And It was really good, but I didn't have enough cumin on it. And it was one of those things, I'm like, I'm cooking moo cow. I never write down recipes when I'm cooking moo cow or whatever, but the rub was great, minus not enough cumin. And I called about 5 friends who are in the culinary world, and I'm like, dude, I made this killer rub that just needed like a little bit more cumin. Can you help me figure out what I put in it? And they just started laughing. They're like, you're an idiot. You didn't write down what you did. I'm like, no, that's why, like, I usually need the phone with like 256 terabytes of memory because I just film everything because I forget. Like I just make stuff up as I go along, and like half the time it works great, the other half of the time it completely craps the bed. Guys, I'm telling you, your kill this year, you'll thank me after you do that. It is an amazing, amazing steak rub. And it would go well on any steak, quite honestly.
So when you coat it, do you use like the same amount as you would on like a brisket where it's just completely kind of black before you start cooking
great question.
it? Or is it?
Yep.
I mean, you said it's good for 4, but is it kind of like that brisket coating since you have the oil on it and then you dip it where it's pretty?
That's a great question. Yes. So when I coat it, it's coated in olive oil. I have it sitting on the saran wrap, and I get a tablespoon, and I hold the tablespoon over it, and I just tap the edge of the tablespoon. So it is a thick coating on there. Okay. And I promise you that coffee, like it is not present when you sear it. It is just, it's something else. I couldn't believe it. Like I literally was like, ooh, that's good.
It's kind of like the mayo as a binder. You don't taste it.
Or the other secret, like if you're making grilled cheese and you're doing it with butter, you clearly did not grow up in Ohio because we make our grilled cheese by smearing mayo on the bread and frying it for grilled cheese. Like that's like listener, you should write that down. If you're searing or making grilled cheese or like browning your hamburger buns with butter on them, you've been living in the dark ages. Put a big old put a big old, like Champ Bailey says, put a big old slather of mayo on that and throw it on the skillet. That thing is gonna, ooh, buddy, it's gonna be the best brown because it forms a crust, but it keeps the bread super soft. It's like, it's the best grilled cheese in the freaking world to use mayo, and you don't taste the mayo.
Yeah. Here at Just the Tip Tuesday, we do gourmet or redneck. I mean, we've got from gourmet to hot dogs and craft singles and bologna sandwiches, man. There's no sandwiches.
In between. Dude, my best snack growing up living in Ohio, my mom, Jesus, she used to take saltine crackers and put a big old heaping of butter on them and put another saltine on top, and I'd have saltine butter sandwiches as my after school snack. Like, you want to talk about redneck? Good God, I don't think my neck can get any redder after telling that one.
I know. I look at what we ate as kids and I'm like, we used to think these were healthy. You know, we had 3 servings. We had SpaghettiOs, Wonder Bread with butter, and a hot dog on the side.
Buddy, when my wife leaves the house, I bring Griff back to my youth. Like, I'm like, hey, you want hot dogs tonight for dinner? And he's like, yeah, I love hot dogs, Dad. I'm like, yeah, I love them too. And so I make hot dogs, and I don't grill them, I boil them because I grew up with boiled hot dogs. There's nothing like a boiled ass hot dog. It's so good.
That's what I grew up with.
He's like, is there a bun? And I'm like, no, but we have white bread. And then I did this 2 days ago. And then I put a smear of butter on it. And I flopped that boiled ass hot dog on bread with butter on it. And he's like, what is this? I was like, just don't tell Mom I made this for you. I mean, she would kill me.
These aren't all beef hot dogs, just so you guys know.
No, they're like they're not even Oscar Mayer brand wieners. They're like Pathmark generic brand wieners, man. They're like,
they're the bars or whatever they are.
They are the lips, snouts, and tails of pigs and whatever else they could find to throw in there.
They're the turkey and pork hot dogs.
Yeah. So, yeah, dude, Griff had a great hunt. Should we jump into it? Do you have any questions about Griff's hunt? I mean, I know we talk all the time, but do you have any questions about it coming up or before I start?
No, I was just going to tell the listeners that Griff shot 2 animals now, and kid can shoot a gun well for a 10-year-old. I mean, he nailed that bear, and from talking with you, and you can share this in the story, but that kid's a killer. He is cool and calm, unlike a lot of us that buck fever is a real thing. All these, the shaking and excitement, and when you got a 10-year-old that doesn't seem to have that, it's pretty unique.
I've communicated with my buddy James Nash over at Six Ranch Podcast. Great dude, like wealth of information. And he and I are friends, and I've asked him multiple times about that. And it's just, It's part of the nervous system takes over. Like the adrenaline's flowing, but it's like Griffin, just like Luke, neither of my kids, when they go into their shot sequence, they can't hear anything. They are so focused. I mean, they can't hear. Griffin couldn't hear what I was saying. Luke never has. I asked Griff after this one. He's like, I wasn't shaking at all. But you saw the video, like I posted on Instagram afterwards. Like I'm shaking, he's shaking. Like then all that adrenaline releases. But like in the moment, that like minute long shot or 30-second long shot process, like I couldn't talk to him. He was dialed. So I might as well just get right into the story. So you ready? All right, we're back after some technical difficulties. Ryan's old age is catching up with him. He was browsing the internet while we were trying to have a podcast and thought he hit buy on a new pair of Sitka pants, but ended up turning everything off. So my question
I was just snoozing from that recipe, man. Just snoozing.
Dude, I'm about to snooze from this glass of wine and eat all that meat. I better get this story out. So I asked, are you ready? I mean, you ready for me to drop the exclusive Griff Hunt story?
I'm ready. Go.
Okay. You know, opening day for his tag was August 1st, and the weather, unlike last year, it was about to cooperate, right? The high for that day was going to be 72 degrees. We were going to go down, and August 1st was a Friday, and we were going to go down Thursday night and camp, but thunderstorms were rolling through, so we talked, and I said, you know, let's just go down in the morning. We'll leave the house at 2 a.m. We'll get there in the morning. That way we can avoid any potential dangers, et cetera. And he was game with that. So I woke up at 2 a.m., woke him up at 2:10 a.m. Some of you that are listening to this may have been leaving the bar at 2 a.m. as my alarm was going off. In my younger years, that would have been the case. But we got up, brewed my coffee, you know, try to get the morning business done. It's really hard trying to get your body to move 4 hours ahead to get your morning business done. So that didn't happen as smoothly as I would have hoped. And we hopped in the car at 2:30 and started driving down. And, you know, it was the feeling was very, very excited in the car on the way down. If you know Griffin, very seldom does he have more than one breath between sentences. He will talk nonstop. And that was the case on the way down. And we talked about all the things from school and school shoes he wants, to elk hunting, deer hunting, bear hunting, fishing, you know, Lala, his brother, because when he was younger, he couldn't pronounce Luke, so he called him Lala. So we talked about all the things. And we get to the hunting area where we're going to go, and it's about 3:45 in the morning. I am not willing to walk into the area where I think the elk are going to be unless it's very, very close to shooting light, because there's a possibility elk can be on the trail anywhere. And I would leave that as a tip to the hunters out there. If you have a destination where you're going and you're walking through like legit elk country on the way there, if you're walking in non-shooting hours, there's the possibility there can be a good trophy bull or big cow or whatever in front of you. So just keep that in mind when you're walking in and stuff like that to your hunting spot. So we wait. We sit on the tailgate. I'm drinking coffee. I'm making sure he's drinking his water, and we're looking at the stars. There's no light pollution where we were. It was amazing. You could see the Milky Way. We talked about galaxies and all that stuff. Like, just stuff that as a father, you talk with your 10-year-old about. And then, you know, I let him know. I kind of stood up and got my pack ready and threw some extra food in there because you just never know how much food they're going to eat. And I said, okay, Griff, now, like we talked about, once we walk past that blue gate, we don't talk. And he looked at me with a very concerned 10-year-old face. And he's like at all? I'm like at all. Like, we went through all of our hand signals. Like, I hunt. I'm a big hand signal guy when I hunt. Right? Like, I have elk are walking, listen over there, elk are walking, smell over there, you know, like poop droppings. And since he was the shooter, he has the tag behind me. Like, if I saw an elk, I was carrying the gun. Like, this means kneel down. This means lay down. And if I point lay down and move forward, that's lay down and get your ASS up here as fast as you can because you're about to shoot an elk. And so we went through all those and we start walking in, and we get about 30 yards past the Blue Gate. We have about a mile to walk into where I think the elk are going to be. And I know, like, Ryan calls me Captain Crunch. I mean, he's so full of crap, his eyes are brown. I'm the one, listener, I am the one that came up with Captain Crunch. I introduced it to these goofballs at Game Tech. Anyway, if you ever hunt with a kid, you will know what Captain Crunch is, because when you walk, when you hunt, it's a very deliberate heel, gentle roll the rest of your foot to your toe step. It's not a slap. It's not a hard step. It's that. And so 30 yards in, I stop and look at Griff. I was like, hey, I want you to walk in front of me for like the next 10 yards. And he thought that meant there was an elk up there. And he walked in front of me, and I was literally like 3 feet behind him, and he didn't know I was there. He's like, I didn't even hear you. And I was like, okay, that's the thing. You didn't hear me walking. You sound like a herd of elephants, and you're 10 years old and 74 pounds. Like, we got to figure that out. And so I went through how to walk with him. And the thing was, when you teach a 10-year-old to walk in the woods, that heel, gentle roll down, it's like you are in this time warp of slowness. It is they walk as slow as honey trying to be pushed uphill. I turned around after like probably 200 yards, and he was like 150 yards behind me. And I'm signaling to him, like, get your ass up here. And he gets up there finally. He's like, well, I was trying to walk and not make noise. And I was like, okay, I get that, but we actually need to move, because if we walk that speed, like, we're not going to get to where we actually want to shoot the animal until 9 a.m. And then we're not able to shoot because it's too hot. So he got it, and like I said, I'm gentle, but I'm direct. I'm straightforward, right? Like, my kids know that about me. Like, Ryan, Taylor, Jack, Dustin, you guys all know that about me. Like, just kind of say the way it is. Like, hey, like, walk quiet, but walk fast. And so we got up to the spot. And we're sitting on a log, and I wasn't feeling it. There was no fresh elk sign, and I had scouted this area like 2 weeks earlier, and there was like herds of 30 elk everywhere. And I'm like, this isn't good. But the key on the walk in, on this ridgeline walk in, they had been logging in the canyon to the east, and they weren't logging today. And I was like, ooh. So immediately my head's like, if they're not logging today, they probably didn't log yesterday or the day before. Those elk probably aren't up here. And I know elk lick the grease off logging truck stuff. You're not telling me anything I don't know, but like all that ruckus and chainsaws and stuff, like, I was like, shoot, maybe they're over in the canyon, which I had actually, because this is a hunt where you have to be within a mile of a field, right? A private field. I had called the game warden when I was scouting. I actually, I called him on the phone, and I have his number because I'm a butcher. So I communicate with the wardens regularly. I get audited regularly by them. We know each other. And I said, hey, this is where I'm at. I sent him an Onyx pin. I said, am I good to have my 10-year-old kill an elk here or anywhere around here? And he went through and he sent me back an Onyx with a big circle, and he's like, anywhere within this circle and you're good, right? So like, you have wardens out there. If you have these tags, like, take advantage of them. You don't have to rely on yourself. Like, it's better not to ask and not get in trouble than make a mistake and say you didn't know, because they don't care if you didn't know. It's on your shoulders. So Griff and I are sitting there at the spot where I was anticipating him killing for about 20 minutes. And if you know anything about me, I am not a sit and wait type of elk hunter. Like, sitting a pinch point, sitting a wallow. I mean, you might as well be giving me paper cuts between my fingers, because that's how painful it is for me to sit down. So 20 minutes go by, and I look at Griff. I'm like, hey, we can stay here another hour. There probably will be elk that come out, but then we would be near the time where I'm not going to let you shoot because it gets too warm, or we can go hunt them up. What do you want to do? He's like, I want to hunt them up. I'm like, good, me too. So we walk about a half mile down this ridge.
You're like, okay, Captain Crunch, here we go.
Absolutely. And so we walk about a half mile down this ridge, and off to the right-hand side of the road, I hear elk down in the reprod, but it's so thick, we couldn't get to him. We couldn't see him. So we kind of ran real fast, 400 yards back the trail, and I set up some lost calf calls and stuff. And I heard the elk come towards the end of the reprod, but not far enough to shoot them. Like, we couldn't see them. I knew they were close, but they were hesitant to come out, right? And so I said, Griff, instead of sitting here and screwing with these, let's go hunt them up. So we walked about half a mile past the reprod. And now I made the comment to Griff on the way down. I said, bear hunting's special because it's predator hunting and it's amazing. I am the laziest deer hunter in the world. I have permission on multiple private ranches to hunt deer, and that's how I hunt deer. I am not a deer hunter. I'm a deer killer. I don't get after it. I said, but elk hunting is different. And I think that's one of the big allures with elk hunting, that every single thing needs to go right and you need to be pretty damn lucky. And when I say
absolutely,
every single thing needs to be right, like if you're walking in the woods on a trail and there could be a trail 50 yards above you and 50 yards below you, you're not going to kill those elk on those trail. It has to be on the trail that you're coming in on or close enough. The wind has to be perfect. The thermals have to be perfect. The elk have to have decided to get up out of their bed at the time you were walking out to hunt them up and be there. Like all these things. And
right.
Yes, it requires a bit of a priori knowledge, experience, and that's why you listen to these podcasts and stuff. But
yeah,
everything. Go ahead.
I always say an elk needs to make a mistake. I mean,
yes.
you need to be real. I mean, you need to bring your A game, and an elk needs to make a mistake. Like it can't, I mean, and that mistake can be as little as ignoring, that elk ignoring a noise that it heard,
yes.
and just staying in the bed. But if that elk's on its A game, it's hard to do it.
It's hard to do it. So
yep.
We walk down this ridge, and the ridge makes a 180-degree turn on the other side of where we're walking. So the ridge is up top. We're kind of on the north side, and the trail loops around the ridge and comes back on the south side back towards the car. And we make the loop, and I notice a little trail going off further, down the hill. And I was like, oh, I've never been down that. Let's take that. And he's like, okay, that sounds good. And we get out there, and we get about 20 yards down this trail, and I stopped. And it was a gut feeling. And I since I've been in high school, I have made the conscious choice to not ignore my gut feelings, right? Like if you have a gut feeling, especially in the hunting woods, follow that gut feeling, right? So we got 20 yards down this trail, and I looked at Griff and like, this one isn't right. And he's like, why? What do you see that you're saying that? I was like, I don't see anything. Like, and it's not that I don't see anything that's bad. Like, I just don't feel this is right. And he's like, okay, awesome. whatever you think. And I was like, okay. And we got back on the skid road, and we started hiking back towards the car because it went back that way. We're at a lower elevation. We're dropping down. And I have hunted this area for 11 years during archery season. And I can tell you in 11 years of hunting this area, I have never stopped where I stopped to glass. I just have never done it. And for some reason, I stopped. I put my hand, and I just pulled up the binoculars, and I just gave it a glass. Maybe like in the back of my head, maybe it was an excuse like, oh, if I put my binoculars to my face, I can throw a Zimbabwe in right now or whatever. Because I was like, I don't know what it was, but I just glassed. And about 280 yards ahead of me, there's some trees, the skid road curves, and there were trees. And, the elk hunters out there will know, like, you're glassing trees, and all of a sudden there was a patch maybe 8 inches wide that wasn't the color of the rest of the trees. And I said to Griff, I said, there's an elk right there. And he pulls up his binoculars, and I'm like, where? Or he's like, where? And I'm like, about 280 yards, right at the corner, right there, standing on the left side of the road. It's in the trees. And he's looking, he's like, I don't see it. I'm like, probably not. And so I said, but I think it's feeding towards us. And if it stays on the road, this is what we want. And sure as the day is long, she starts walking towards us up the skid road. And now, listener, I want you to imagine the skid road. We're walking down the skid road. On the left-hand side of the skid road, there's no grass. On the right-hand side of the skid road, the grass is about 10 to 12 inches tall. And then on the left-hand side of the skid road, the canyon wall goes up. And on the right-hand side of the skid road, the canyon wall goes down. So you're literally on the side of a canyon. And she's walking up, and she's walking up the middle, and then she walks up the right-hand side of the skid road, so it's the side that leads down the canyon. And so I get Griff down. I get the gun set up on the bipod. I'm kneeling next to him. I'm like, all right, she's 150 yards. You see her? And he's like, I can't see her. And I'm like, kind of looking at him like, what the frick do you mean you can't see her, dude? She's like right there. Like, what do you don't see? And then like it clicked. I'm like, hey, dipshit, he's 10. he's focusing on the blades of grass in front of the scope instead of dialing the scope and looking beyond the blades of grass. And so I immediately correct myself. I'm like, okay, hold on. She's coming towards us. Don't move. And he moves just the slightest bit, and his freaking binoculars fall out. And I'm not shitting you. They like fall out, like fall out. They're attached. He's wearing a marsupial case. My old binoculars, they fall out. And he kind of gets up on his knees and he's holding his binoculars. And I look over to my left and I was like, this is a bad word. I mean, my kids know my favorite word is like the F word. I look at him and I was like, fuck you have your binoculars out for? And he's like, I did. And I was like, you don't need your binoculars, dude. She's right there. Like, we had the wind and it was a bit of a windy day. And he's like looking at me with this panic. And I was like, just put them away. And they're twisted. And he tries to put them away upside down and they won't go all the way down in his marsupial pack. So he's kind of bumming around. And I'm like, hold on, calm down, Griff. And that made me calm down. I untwisted him. I put him away. I was like, okay, just lay down. Get on the scope. And so he lays down. And now keep in mind, there's like this elk's 120 yards away. There is one 6 foot tall reprod pine tree growing between the elk and us. And I'm like, this is great. Like, we'll shoot right underneath that, right by it, whatever. And the elk stops like 30 yards on the other side of that. And she knows something's in the skid road. So she extends her neck and stares at us like her neck looked like a giraffe, dude. And she's staring at us and Griff's looking at me. He's not even on the scope. And I literally say, don't move. And I see out of the corner of my eye, because I'm staring right at her. And I know they don't like to be looked at, but I'm like, I'm not moving because she'll see the movement. So I'm holding it. And Griff starts to slowly turn his head to the scope. And I was like, not even that. Literally just stay looking at me. Don't even move. And that, I want to say it lasted 3 minutes. It was probably like a minute and a half of her giving us.
It feels like forever.
Oh my gosh. And so she then puts her head down and starts feeding. And then I notice another cow is with her. And I'm like, okay, she's feeding. And I'm like, get on the scope. And he's like, I still can't see her. And I'm like, frick, I got to move him over another 5 feet to be in the part of the skid road where there's no grass. And I'm like, this could be disastrous because now like we stick out like sore thumbs on like brown dirt, whatever. But I'm like, well, let's give it a roll. So I move him over to the left and scoot him up about 10 feet. And I move the gun. I'm like, just get around it. Now, listener, I want you to be aware, I am not the best father because my 10-year-old shoots my bigger son, my older son, 6'5" Creedmoor. The gun is way too big for Griffin. Like, Ryan will attest for that. Like, it is way too big. Like, the yoga pose he has to get into to get his neck up there. Thank God it's a 6'5" Creedmoor and it kicks like a pop gun, because if it was a 30-06, he would have a dislocated neck. So he gets in, he gets her in the scope. And in this time, she starts walking towards us and stops at about 110 yards. But she's right in the middle of the skid road. And the other elk is behind her, still feeding on the downslope side. And, you know, we went through frontal shots, went through everything, and the kid's a good shot. I said, you got her? And he's like, I got her. I was like, are you good? He's like, it's a frontal. Are you okay with that? And I said, I'm not pulling that trigger. Are you okay with that? And he knows, you know, like, I can't tell him to take a shot he's not comfortable with. He can tell me, like, I'm comfortable with this shot. He's like, I got her. Can I shoot her? And I said, dude, let it rip. And I heard him. He went into his breathing sequence. That wasn't the right one. I thought it might have been. And I wanted to film this, but I knew if I moved, she would see me move. And I heard his deep breath, and he got like a 1/10 of a second out of the breath. Like, it was the high point of his breath. It was like, boom. And like, it surprised me. And I was like, oh, but I had the binoculars on her and I was like, you got her. Like, I saw her flinch and I saw the cow that was behind her take off down the steep slope. And she stood there, turned around and took about 20 steps down the skid road, just stayed on the road. And Griffin, being the killer, already, without me even saying, already re-racked another bullet. And I was like, oh, nice. Go again. She's still standing. And he's like, I know I hit her good. I'm like, I know you did too, dude, but she's still standing. And he's like,
you don't want her to run down the
that was the thing.
Like,
me being that, I'm like, oh my gosh, if she jumps off this canyon, this day gets real long. And like the time is of the essence. It's an August 1st hunt. And he's like, well, I only have her butt. Should I shoot her in the butt? I'm like, no, do not shoot her in the butt. Don't do that. She will turn. And I said, but if she turns and she's moving, you got to put one in her in the chest. She turned broadside and just stood there facing downhill right at the very edge. And he's like, good. And I'm like, let it rip, dude, let it rip. And he squeezes the trigger and I see that one hit her. And this elk did not want to die. And it was not in the guts. It was in the chest cavity again. And he's like, I don't know if that one hit her. I'm like, oh, I want to hit her. I saw that one hit her, but she's still standing. So now she turns and faces uphill and her little friend is down the hill chirping at her. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if she just is like, I'm going to run to you, Sarah, so I can die next to you. I'm like, this will be bad. And so she turns and looks uphill and he had racked another one. And I was like, dude, shoot again. And he's like, I've already shot her twice. I'm like, shoot her till they're down, dude. Shoot her till they're down. And so he puts another one in her and literally she falls directly over. But the second two shots were both broadside. And, you know, the elation, the joy, the everything. And so we walk up to her and his frontal was about 2 inches left of center. So left of shooter's left. So it's not a little 2 inches to her right of center, but it was still inside that shoulder blade. So when it hit her, I'm sure her thoracic cavity, her chest cavity was filling with blood. She turned broadside. He put one 3 inches behind her shoulder in the perfect spot.
Nice.
It came out the other side, perfect spot. She was dead broadside. And then this is my favorite thing. His third shot, when she was facing uphill, she was dead broadside again. His bullet holes were a half an inch apart. Like he was 3 inches behind the shoulder on the other way. The exit hole on that side was a half an inch from the entrance hole, and the exit hole, that one was a half an inch from, I mean, the kids, he was dialed, and like she fell over. We did all the things, hugged, cried, like did everything. Like
that's awesome.
He literally, after the third shot and she dropped, like he tackled me. Like, not like but like he hugged me so hard, like I had to like tap out of the hug. I'm like, you were going to make me pass out, but like, I can't breathe. You're squeezing me too hard. Like, it was just such a joyous moment. And it was so cool. The excitement building up to it, everything was, it was all awesome. Like perfect. Right. And so we're field dressing this animal and he's holding some legs and helping. And like, I would have, if it was October or any other hunt, I would have given him a knife and taught him everything. These hunts, as I've said before in the last podcast or 2 podcasts ago, you have 1 hour from when that animal's dead in that heat. Like, if you're not done with the animal in an hour, you lose meat, period. And so we got it done. And this is good because this comes back to the story. The last thing I take off the animal every time is the heart. And I'm standing over this animal and I'm using the half face blades knives, the Skinner knife, which, dude, I've used, as you know, Ryan, like what? Yeah. 8 different knife brands, everything. That Skinner, I didn't have to touch it up once. Like, it did a whole elk and didn't have to touch it up. It was so freaking bomber.
Yeah,
I would like a little bigger finger guard on it, but like the knife is my knife. It's perfect, right? If they add a quarter or half an inch to that finger guard, like it's the absolute bomb diggity of knives. So I'm standing over this elk. I'm like getting ready to take her heart. I had the FMBs, black pepper, that I had dumped on it, although they weren't bad. Didn't get stung, only saw a couple bees. Griff was taking video and filming and everything else. We were just having a ball. Texted his big brother who called us, like, you know, texted you guys. Like, it was freaking amazing. I think when I was ready to cut the heart out, I think Luke called to congratulate Griffin. Griffin shot that elk, I think it was 6:10 in the morning. And my cutoff time for shooting is 6:30. Shot it at 6:10. And Luke gets up at 7, so it must have been 7:05 because I was about done. It takes me about 45 minutes to an hour if I'm kind of taking my time. And I know that sounds pompous, but like if I'm really rushing, I think I can get an elk done in a half an hour. If I'm like, let's frickin' go. And he called and I turned and we were just talking on speakerphone, whooping it up. And I was like, okay, we got everything. And I rolled her off the edge of the cliff because I truly believe if you kill an elk on a trail, it should not be left on the trail. Like, it's not good etiquette to leave your kill on the trail, right? Roll it off, let the coyotes and birds get it, other users, whatever. And so we pack out and I had the cavalry on call. I was like, hey, if we knock down an elk, I'm with a 10-year-old that weighs 74 pounds. Can you bring the four-wheeler? And all my friends were like, heck yeah, man. I will bring the four-wheeler, side by side, whatever you want. And so I said to Griff, I'm like, hey, do you want me to make the call? And he's like, to whom? And I was like, to Ed or to Jake or whatever, like to come help us. And he's like, well, no, I don't. And I'm sitting here looking at this whole elk, and it's a big cow. And I'm like, there's 60 pounds of loose meat. There's 4 quarters. And I'm like, okay. And we're 3 miles from the car. And I'm like, okay. And he looked at me and goes, elk hunting's supposed to be hard, Dad. And I'm like, okay. So we're hiking this out. And he's like, yep. And then he looks at me and goes, did Lala hike out his first elk? And I was like, yes, Lala hiked out his first elk. And he's like, then I'm hiking out my elk. And I'm like, okay, here we go. This will be my little plug for our boys at Initial Ascent. You guys have seen their thing where you go to a trade show and they'll load 150 pounds on it and be like, oh, look, you can do squats and stuff. And I won't lie, I've always thought like, right, that's a gimmick. Nobody ever does that. But Griffin had 60 pounds of loose meat. And I was like, you know what? If we can do this in one trip, they say their pack can do it. I'm going to give it a freaking whirl. 2 hindquarters and 2 front quarters. Nice. On my pack. This is no joke. And you'll see it on Instagram this week. This is no joke. I hiked 3 miles. We got back to the truck. I pulled out my butchering scale, 170 pounds on my back. And it didn't hurt. My shoulders didn't hurt. My lower back didn't hurt. Yeah. I felt good. You know what really hurt? 2 days later, when I woke up in the morning and had a cup of coffee and tried to sit down to poop and couldn't bend my legs because my quads were so sore, that's when it hurt. But that Initial Ascent pack, that's no joke, man. That crap really works, dude. So It gets better.
Great.
And
pack.
so we're about 80 yards from the truck. And I go, frick, Griff. And he's like, what? And I was like, I forgot the heart. And there was a level of disappointment in his face, but he's such a kind, like very like forgiving. Like he literally,
he's a good kid. He's a
good kid. Like he literally, and he's like, I love the heart, Dad, but you know what, Dad, it's okay. Like we're here. Like this was really hard for us to get back. He had 60 pounds. He weighs 74. I had 170. I weigh 195. We were doing it. We were doing the thing. And we got back to the truck and sat down, had a couple cookies and a Sprite. And I said, you know what, Griff, forget it. We're going to go back and get that damn heart. And he looked at me. He's like, all the way back to that elk? And I was like, yeah, we're not leaving that heart. Like you love the heart. I love the heart. That's good meat. We're not leaving that meat on that animal. We're going to get the heart. He's like, do you think it's still good? And now a storm had rolled in, so it was like only 60 degrees. I'm like, it's totally fine, dude. It's been like 2 hours. That heart's fine. And so we start walking in, and this is where everything hit me. And this is where the confliction of emotions really came through for me. We're walking in and we get to this lookout overlooking this whole canyon, and the rain, it poured like freaking Noah's Ark pouring. Like it was pouring. And we stopped for a couple minutes and put our arms out to the side and looked up, at the sky and closed our eyes and just let it beat down on us. And like, it was everything I had not to cry, because the mix of emotions was so strong, of so much pride and happiness and joy for him. But the amount of solemnity and sadness that I also had, because Luke has gone through all this, and this is my second kid, my only other kid. Like I don't have another first hunt with him. And it was literally a blender of emotions, from like joyous, like nonstop talk for me, to like, then all of a sudden, like just totally solemn and almost sad. It's like, when you lose a really close loved one and they die, and you go 1 minute from laughing, thinking about the memories, to like sobbing because they're gone. Do you know what I mean? Like if you experience that, like
it's mixed feelings.
Mixed feelings. I experienced it when my dad died. I was like, I would laugh and be cracking up at pictures. And then all of a sudden, like I'd start like white girl crying, like sobbing. And then like 2 minutes later, I'd be laughing again. I'm like, my God, I am a freaking blender. I'm like Ron Burgundy. I'm in a glass case of emotion here. Like I didn't know what to do. So we get to this elk. I freaking thing, like I rolled it and it like rolled. It didn't just roll, it rolled. And I looked down and like this is also stupid. I had only brought like the meat carrier shelf on the initial scent pack. I took the pack off, so I didn't have any knives. And I was like, oh shit. and, and Griff's like, well, where's the knives? And I was like, yeah, they're at the truck. And he's like, and he looked, he's like, are we really going back to the truck and then coming back here again? And I was like, you know what? I always have a pocket knife with me. No matter what, I have a foldable pocket knife with me. Like I've lost it so many times going into hockey games and into airports because you always just, I mean, as a guy and a hunter, I always have a pocket knife. Like
Yeah.
no matter what, I always have a pocket knife. And I was like, nope, I have my pocket knife. And he said, and I pulled it out and the blade's like an inch and a half blade. He's like, really? And I was like, it's going to work. It's going to work.
It has to work. It has to work.
This is what's happening right now. And so I slide, 25 yards down this hill and I use my little Kershaw pocket knife and jam into there. And her heart, if you saw the pictures on the Instagram post, if not, go check them out. It's as big as Griffin's head. And I'm trying to pull it out through. And thank God, like, because I was in a bad position. The Kershaw has like a half an inch of serrated blade on it. And I was like, well, we're going to see if that cuts through bone right now. Because she was in a spot where I couldn't like disarticulate the rib. And I just, down at the bottom of the rib, I just started sawing. Sure as crap, it sawed right through that. I lifted the rib up, pulled that heart out. Football tossed it up to him and we carried it out and it was still spitting rain and everything and we were making jokes and we got back to the truck and sat on the tailgate, got the meat in the cooler that was thanks to you, Ryan. I remembered our podcast. It was pre-cooled with ice.
Oh,
It was good to go. And we sat on the tailgate of the truck, changed our clothes because we looked like we, rolled around in a slaughterhouse from dealing with the elk. And I have never, ever not wanted to pull away from a trailhead more in my life. We got in the car, didn't turn it on. We opened a couple cans of Sprite and we're eating some cookies and listening to the rain hammer the truck. And I think we sat in that spot for about 40 minutes. And Griffin is so in tune with me emotionally. Like he even looked up, he's like, Dad, I don't want to leave. And I was like, I'm feeling that too, buddy. Like I don't want this day to end. And he's like, I really don't want it to end, Dad. He's like, I'm so happy and everything. He's like, but I don't want this day to end. And I was like,
right.
Let's just sit here. We don't even have to talk. Let's just sit here and let the rain hit the truck and think about everything that happened. And we said a prayer, of thanks that we had the day we had and everything. But like we pulled out and we're driving home and we're listening to kind of Hank Williams Jr. country, which we love listening to, mixed in with some Dr. Dre, mixed in with some like electric dance music and everything. And we're singing and dancing and on it, like this is that glass case of emotions. And like we were doing that 1 minute and then like the next minute, like I just went quiet and Griff's like, you okay, Dad? And like, I'm fighting back tears because it really, it was so overwhelming, dude. Like like, this is the last verse. And several good friends on Instagram reached out and they're like, every hunt matters. Every hunt will be memorable, et cetera. And absolutely true. I can tell you every step I took with every hunt I take Luke on and Griff, but there's nothing like a first hunt, man. And This year we got first bear, which was amazing, like, and so memorable. But the bear wasn't so mixed emotion because I knew we had the elk coming up. But the elk hunt, like, it, like I said in the post, like, it's like getting to the end of a good book, waiting for part 2, or like getting to the end of a really good chapter in a book and wanting to flip the page. But like, it's more visceral. It's more, it's deeper and more heartfelt than that. I'm still like a complete, like conflicted emotions regarding it. But we got her home and put her in the garage fridge, and yeah, we are butchering on Wednesday because, as you know, listener and Ryan, my magic number for big elk, I don't care if it's a cow or a bull, big elk is 12 days. And I think it's 12 days is the magic number where you mitigate meat loss with tenderness and flavor. I would be interested, like I may leave like one of her hindquarters go 30 days just to see. But in fact, I think I might have just talked myself into doing that to see the loss difference because I know they're about the same size. She was a healthy girl.
Right.
And flavor difference, but 12 days is my magic number for hanging big girls or big boys. Like you can go
That makes
longer, you
sense.
can go shorter, but I think
Yeah, we've
mitigating.
done both, gone longer and gone shorter, and it seems to
Yeah,
work okay.
yeah,
But I would be interested in the meat loss compared
I
to
would too.
30 days to 12 days.
I would too, and I might have talked myself. I mean, the electric bill will be high because I have one of those wild meat gear meat lockers that I've set up in the garage with a air conditioner and a cool bot, and it's definitely running nonstop, especially on these 100-degree days up here right now. Um,
Right.
but I am very interested in the 30-day, like what's that going to look like? How much meat are we going to lose? Like I've done it to 21 days. I've done that experiment and I know the loss difference from 12 days to 21 days, but I wonder if there's a point that you
It
don't
doesn't
lose as
lose
much.
anymore.
Yeah, maybe 21 to
Yeah.
30 days you don't lose hardly anymore, but you get a flavor bomb and a tenderness difference that's completely notable. I may give it a whirl,
Right.
but I
That'd be
said
fun to know.
we ate her tenderloin tonight, both of them, and oh man, they were so good. They were so good.
Well,
So that's
well,
that's the
that
story, buddy.
that's awesome. Yeah, I was just thinking about our podcast a few times ago, maybe last podcast about, why we do this, and I think this story just, represents why we do this. I mean, it's more than just killing an animal and eating it, which is a big part of why we do this, but there's so much more, and there's so many more reasons why we do this.
Well, and it, as I always say, like Griff, maybe it's a machismo thing for me, maybe it's a providing for my family thing, whatever. Like I love to know that I can provide for the family. And no
Right.
matter what, like we can have meat on the table and stuff. And Griff is so proud that he has filled the freezer with meat, whether I get
Right.
one archery season or not. He's like, I filled the freezer. And when we were eating that elk before we podcast, like mom just got back from Canada from visiting Luke, and so she wasn't really there for dinner. She showed up a little bit late, but we relived the whole hunt. And I just have this gut feeling that every time we eat his elk this year, we will relive that entire hunt. And the crazy thing is he felt the same emotions I did, the conflicted emotions, the solemnity, the happiness and joy, the everything. Like it was crazy how in tune he was. But yeah, dude,
That's
it
awesome.
was something special, man. I've just, like I said, it's not even, it's truly an honor to, as you know, Ryan, it's an honor to be a dad. Like it's the best job in the world. It's the hardest job in the world, but like moments like that, dude, I told Griff, I said, listen, when I'm dead and you're taking your kids out on their first hunt, hopefully I'm still alive. Like say, hey, your grandfather took me out on my first hunt. I said, or like maybe I'm there on that one, but those kids, and maybe they can say like, hey, your great granddad, he taught your granddad how to hunt, who taught me how to hunt, and he was there. It's that legacy thing, right? Like it's just so cool, man. There's nothing in the world like it. Like teaching your kid to ride a bike is cool. Teaching them to ski is cool. It's a big feeling, but like, dude, I've done all that. Like there's nothing like this. Like I truly can't relay that enough. There's nothing like this feeling.
Well, that's awesome. My kids are getting there. They're getting close.
I know. I can't
Got an
wait. I can't
8-year-old.
wait for what do we got? 2 years before you get to deliver the story?
2 years till we gotta, hopefully, my soon to be 10-year-old 2 years from now, shooting a bear. I mean,
I
that'd
love it.
be
Can't wait.
ideal.
I want
I
to be
can't
there.
either, but
I want
she
to be
probably
there.
will be there.
I know. I can't wait, dude. I can't wait. So anyway, we've definitely gone well beyond our 20 minutes. I hope you guys enjoyed the story. So next week we got a good one for you. We got a huge freaking announcement coming. And I also want to go through with you guys because, everyone knows I run the butchering business on the side, and this is on the Cutright app is on the side of my job of being a teacher. But the butchering business has been absolutely insane. Like, I have had so many calls this past week, which is good. Word of mouth. That means I'm doing a good job and everything else. But I've seen some things already this early season, and I want to give you an early September primer, some things to think about. But that's going to come on the heels of a freaking huge announcement that we have next week for you guys.
Yeah, can't wait.
Yeah. So thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for cheering Griff on and being there along the way. It's been awesome.
Whether you're deep in the backcountry, field dressing your game, learning to butcher to perfection, or cooking up the meal that honors the hunt, Cutright is your ultimate guide. Cutright puts expert knowledge at your fingertips. Master field dressing right on the mountain, learn step-by-step butchering techniques, and discover incredible ways to prepare your harvest. It's not just about the hunt, it's about the whole journey. Download the Cutright mobile app where apps are downloaded today and elevate your wild game experience.